Nicki Minaj, the famous rapper who is perhaps one of the biggest female rappers of all time and easily one of the biggest rappers in general today. She's had massive hits over the years. You've probably heard Anaconda, Super Bass, Starships. Many features she's been on as well. You have probably seen her being featured on like 5 to 10 different hit songs every year since like 2014. And that's a funny thing I wanted to mention too, that this is actually her first full-length album since 2014, which is very rare in today's age, especially in the hip-hop game. Usually there's a rush, you know, to come out with the next big album within like the year, before the year is even over, before you've even had 12 months of this album cycle, you want to get something else out. But Nicki Minaj seems to have gone against that with Queen, as it is a long overdue album. I do feel as though she probably should have dropped this last year or maybe even the year before to kind of keep that relevancy up. But again, like I said, it's not like she's completely losing touch with the mainstream. She's still very well known and is always featured on multiple songs. However, I must say, the expectation for an album to come out 4 years later, in my opinion, is, well, this should be really good, because why is it taking so long? It's an artist that isn't rushing to drop something else. It doesn't appear to be unfinished in any kind of way. So in my head, I'm like, well, I expect more from this than a Future mixtape that took like 6 months to come out. And to be honest, the expectations I had for this album weren't that high, considering I'm not the biggest Nicki Minaj fan, but the results are not really impressive at all, in my opinion. It's another one of those occurrences where we've got like an hour-long album, there's 19 tracks, a few shorter interlude type songs that don't really feature much in them, and then the majority, like the big bulk of this album, is pretty much throwaway. I'm not going to go as far as saying that Nicki Minaj has decided to just launch in as many songs as she possibly can just for streaming benefits, but you know, there's not really anything here that's worthwhile, I don't think. I want to talk about the singles first though, because some of these tracks haven't really took off, honestly. I mean, it's funny because the biggest song that Nicki Minaj has got right now is a feature on a Tekashi 6ix9ine song, and none of the other tracks that she's had have really, you know, just broke the charts in ways that she used to do. But tracks like Chun Li aren't terrible. I don't mind that track. I don't really think it's anything I'll ever return to, but it's certainly listenable and tolerable. Bed is pointless, and honestly, there is no surprise as to why this did not become a pop hit or anything like that. Ariana Grande is wasted on this track. Her vocals aren't utilised well at all. It's a complete nothing of a song. And Barbie Dreams, which is a track that's gaining a lot of traction right now because of the lyrics and also the fact that she took the Biggie song, Just Playing, and flipped it and made it into her own. Now what she does here is she takes the song, and what Biggie did back in the 90s was he made this song and basically just displayed all of his feelings and how attracted he is to all the female rappers out at that time. Whereas what Nicki Minaj has done, which I actually think is a very clever idea in concept, is that she's instead roasting all the male competitors that she has in the rap game right now. Now, for a song to have that idea, which I think again is really good, you know, in execution you'd expect a lot of roasts and burns, but not really. I mean, I do really like her flow, and of course the beat is pretty solid as well, and she sounds really good rapping over this. But yeah, I think she wasted the potential what this track could have been. I mean, she basically, you know, mocks Designer because he's special or whatever. I mean, like, you know, yeah, 14-year-olds in school would say a joke like that, and then 5 years later they'd not find it funny anymore, so that was kind of pointless. Yeah, I mean, she just kind of mentions people like Drake and how he cries and stuff, whereas, like, you know, She's been affiliated with him before, so what's changed now? I don't know. And then there's, of course, the mention of Tekashi 6ix9ine and how she curves him and goes for Kim and Kanye instead because they're better or whatever. But you just collaborated with Tekashi 6ix9ine on a song, so how have you curved him? Despite those little nitpicky things, there's not really much on this track I really care about. I think it's okay though in its sound, I can listen to it, but when you kind of dig into how and what she's saying, you know, Young Thug steals her dresses and stuff, it's just really like basic, borderline, just average shit that I'm pretty sure if you went on any random YouTube freestyle roasting thing, you'd find better funny lines from those, and they're amateur rappers. So Nicki, really, you can't call her a queen, come on. But then the deep cuts get worse, really, actually, because like I said, Barbie Dreams isn't terrible, but it does get worse. I mean, Rich Sex with Lil Wayne, I mean, yeah, okay, if I was rich, then maybe I would relate to this song, but I don't relate, and I don't care, because it sounds terrible anyway. Majesty with Labyrinth, of all people. Labyrinth, this guy's still kicking. Oh boy. And his singing reminds me way too much of the Imagine Dragons singer on this song as well. It just sounds so weird, I just don't get it. And of course, Majesty, Queen, it's just so on the nose, like basic stuff. And it's not like she carries it all the way across the album either. It's just like occasional tracks reference the fact that she's a queen. And it's just like, nah, you're not selling it. Eminem surprisingly sounds alright in this track. It's kind of funny because he sounded good on that Royce da 5'9" song earlier this year. And here he is again sounding pretty decent and the best part of the song, so you know, maybe he's getting a little bit better after all that criticism from Revival. But let's not go too far into wishful thinking. Thought I Knew You with The Weeknd, doing his whole, you know, vibey shtick that he's always giving us on every feature that he does. He did it with the Travis Scott album too. He's just there for that section of the song, but everything else is not really worth your time. I mean, Nicki's not really giving us anything here. And that's the thing with this album too, like content-wise, there is just nothing coming from Nicki Minaj at all. Like, I am not being sold on anything that she says. She occasionally brags, but it's in a very simplistic way. And when she's not bragging, she's just talking about stuff that just don't interest me at all. And I couldn't even pull out any significant moments lyrically on this album except for Barbie Dreams. Chun Sway with Sway Lee. Some of the worst singing I've heard ever. Like, just period. Fucking terrible. And I know for a fact there'll be people out there that'll defend his vocals because they love Sway Lee and Ray Shrimmer, and that's fine. But you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. Listen to the singing here. You're wrong. Then we got tracks like Run and Hide, which just have nothing to them. And it's just like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't know what she's going for. It's very, like, moody in its sound, but it doesn't have anything about it that gets you kind of, ooh, this is chilling, or ooh, this is edgy and dark. It's, like, just there, and it passes by, and you're just bored. Same with tracks like Come See About Me as well. It's like, she's going for something a bit different. She's singing more on this track. It sounds quite poppy and mainstream, but it just sounds like Kalani, you know? Like, when she just pops in for features and she sounds really like just so pristine and overproduced that you just don't enjoy it at all because there's no personality to her whatsoever. Like, that's not how I want R&B. I want an R&B singer that has something about them, that sells something to you, that really works and has a great voice, and Nicki doesn't have that. If there's one thing she can do well is snap on a beat. And I don't really get that many occasions on this album where I'm really impressed with her rapping. Like, there are some times where she's sounding really good on a beat. You know, the beat's a bit speedier. She's snapping. But it's just really nonsensical crap coming out of her mouth that doesn't really lead to much. I don't know. Tracks like Nip Tuck. I mean, who cares about this? Like, honestly, who cares? Oh, and Foxy Brown right at the last leg of this album is so messy on the flow. Like, the beat completely sounds a mess, and Foxy Brown comes through and she sounds so bad. She's so offbeat the whole time. So not only are the features completely weak nearly on every moment they feature, like Future, who's just again doing his own thing, sort of like The Weeknd doing his own thing, not really offering anything interesting. But Nicki Minaj is here not offering interesting things too. It's really weird. Like, I am very sure and confident there's more to her than this, but she doesn't give off that energy at all across this whole album. And it really makes me wonder what the recording sessions were like with this album. Like, it took this long for the album to come out and we've ended up with this product. I don't know, man, it's kind of weird to me. And the thing is though, as well, that really pisses me off, that I see people will say, oh, well, Nicki Minaj would be considered a top 5, top 10 rapper if she wasn't female. And that's such bullshit. Like, no. If she's offering us Big Sean levels of rapping ability on her Queen album, then she is not gonna be considered a great rapper, is she? Stans of Nicki Minaj will spout out bullshit like that, but they'll completely ignore the talents of rappers like No Name Gypsy, Rhapsody, Cupcake. In retrospect, I was probably really harsh on that Cardi B album as well. Like, at least Cardi B has so much energy and brings so much charisma to the table. And now I'm listening to this Nicki Minaj album and thinking, you know what, Cardi B's probably got more in her in the future than Nicki Minaj does right now. So yeah, this album from Nicki Minaj displays to me that there's not much longevity to her music, and she really isn't displaying much talent on this latest effort here, so I'm not really sure what's in store for Nicki Minaj in the future, but to me I think this solidifies her as every other mainstream mediocre rapper, to be honest. Not to say that everyone in the mainstream is bad, that's not what I'm saying, but there's so much mediocrity right now that she's just another fish in the sea of mediocrity. So I'm going to go 4 out of 10. I think this is not a very good album. I don't hate it, I don't think it's terrible, but there's just barely anything here that I can report on that is really worth your time. But do let me know your thoughts. I feel like there will be people out there that love this album, but I don't know, we'll have to see. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews, have a good day, and let me know your thoughts, and yep, goodbye.